My wedding day was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. After years of dating, Alex and I had finally set a date. We'd spent months planning everything: the flowers, the venue, the food. Every detail had been carefully crafted to reflect our journey together. But just 2 weeks before our wedding, I, 28F, got the news that would change my life forever. I found out I had cancer. The moment the doctor said the word, it felt like the world froze. I could barely process his voice over the pounding in my ears. Cancer. I kept repeating it in my mind, trying to make it feel real, but it didn't. I was about to get married, about to start a new chapter with the love of my life, and now everything seemed uncertain. I didn't tell Alex right away. He was so happy, so full of excitement for our big day, and I couldn't bring myself to shatter that. I spent a few days in a haze, trying to act normal, holding back tears every time I caught him looking at me with that big, joyful smile of his. But every time he laughed or mentioned the wedding, I felt a lump in my throat. How could I marry him with this terrible secret? How could I pull him into what could be a long, painful journey? Finally, one night as we sat on the couch going over last-minute wedding details, I broke down. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I looked at him and said, "Alex, there's something I need to tell you." The worry in his eyes was instant, but he waited patiently as I struggled to find the words. When I finally managed to say, "I have cancer," his face turned pale. For a moment, he was silent, just staring at me, processing the words I'd just spoken. Then, he did something I didn't expect. He pulled me close and held me tightly. "We're going to get through this," he whispered into my hair, his voice trembling. "We're still getting married. I don't care if it's tomorrow or 10 years from now. I'm not going anywhere." Hearing those words broke me in a way I didn't know was possible. I felt all my walls crumbling, all the fear and sadness I'd been holding in finally pouring out. In the days that followed, I tried to convince him to postpone the wedding. I told him I didn't want our first months as newlyweds to be filled with hospital visits, treatments, and doctor appointments. But he wouldn't hear of it. "This is our life, together," he said one night, gripping my hand as if he could somehow transfer his strength to me. "You don't have to go through this alone." Despite my fear, Alex made it clear that he wanted to face this with me, no matter what the future held. And so, we moved forward with the wedding. On the day of our wedding, as I put on my dress, I felt a strange mixture of emotions: joy, fear, love, and an overwhelming gratitude for Alex. My parents knew, and my closest friends knew, but to everyone else, it was just a regular wedding. They had no idea that I was fighting an invisible battle beneath the surface, that every step I took down the aisle felt like an act of defiance against the unknown. As I reached Alex at the altar, I saw the tears in his eyes. He took my hand, his grip steady and reassuring, and we exchanged vows that now meant more than I ever thought possible. In sickness and in health, took on a whole new meaning, one we didn't expect to face so soon, but were now ready to embrace together. He promised to love me no matter what happened, and as I looked into his eyes, I believed him with every fiber of my being. The reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and love, but I couldn't help noticing the lingering worry in Alex's eyes every time he glanced my way. It was a reminder that the journey we were about to face would not be easy. The doctors had said there would be tough days ahead, days filled with pain and uncertainty, but for that one night, I allowed myself to live in the moment, to soak in the joy of our wedding day. In the weeks following the wedding, we were thrown into a whirlwind of appointments and treatments. Every time I walked into the hospital, Alex was right by my side. He was there through the nausea, the exhaustion, the endless tests. He stayed with me through every grueling treatment, holding my hand and telling me I was strong, even when I felt like giving up. One evening, after a particularly hard day, I looked at him and said, "I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to leave. This isn't what you signed up for." But he just smiled and shook his head. "You're wrong," he said, his voice steady. This is exactly what I signed up for. I love you, and I'm not going anywhere. Hearing those words again brought a fresh wave of tears. Every day, Alex showed me that his love wasn't just words, it was action. He was there for me, not just on our wedding day, but in the harsh reality that followed. We learned to find joy in the small moments, to cherish every laugh, every quiet night spent cuddling on the couch, every day that we had together. Months passed, and we faced every step of the journey together. There were days when I was too weak to get out of bed, days when the fear felt overwhelming, but Alex was my constant. He made me feel loved, even on the days I didn't feel like myself, even when I lost my hair and felt like a shadow of who I used to be. Eventually, the treatment started to show progress. My doctors gave us the first bit of good news we'd had in months. I was responding to the treatment. The cancer wasn't gone, but it was shrinking. For the first time since my diagnosis, we allowed ourselves to hope, to believe that maybe, just maybe, we'd have a future together beyond the hospital walls. Looking back, I realized that our wedding wasn't just a celebration of our love, it was a commitment to face whatever life threw at us, no matter how difficult. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that with Alex by my side, I'm not facing it alone. He taught me what true love looks like, the kind that stands by you through the darkest days and makes you believe in brighter tomorrows. And as we continue our journey, I hold on to the promise we made that day, to love each other in sickness and in health, for better or for worse. Because love, real love, doesn't run from the hard parts, it carries you through them.